everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Youre, your favorite virtual castmate, and today I figured we'll take a step back, just kiki with one another and speak about what advice you wish you had known before diving into the industry. For the past few years, I've been dedicating my life to performing in the musical theater space, and there are just certain things that I personally have noticed over time that I wish I had known before I made my decision. Not that it was going to change my decision to pursue this career, but it would have given me a little more insight on what to expect from the theater world. So I hope this is helpful to at least one person, and if you are interested in this topic, then keep on watching. First thing I wish I had known before choosing musical theater as my career is the fact that I will hear way more no's than I will hear yeses. Now, we hear this very frequently, but it's not explained, right? I think that idea of understanding that many people who we see as successful, depending on what your definition is, have created their lanes of success by aligning themselves with certain people, developing certain relationships, by powerfully networking and gaining a yes in that way, and not necessarily having this one person to say, you are the starlet that we're going to decide to put up on stage to be the next so-and-so, right? And I think that by understanding how to shape my definition of success would have helped me a lot when it came to really figuring out what no really means. No doesn't mean that you are not good enough or that you're not more than enough. What the no means in the moment is that you might not fit this particular project for whatever reason. Could your circumstance play a part in it? Of course, that's why it feels like a personal rejection, because a no feels like you are not right. But that's not necessarily the case, and it's very sticky to understand. I wish that I understood how to navigate that, which leads me to my next point. I wish that I had a space to feel comfortable to express how rejection made me feel. It's almost taboo to speak about rejection, even though there's an understanding of knowing that the no, hearing a no, is more prevalent than hearing a yes. And I found myself at one point in time in my career feeling things that made me come out of character, and I wish that I had a proper understanding of how to channel my frustration with rejection instead of projecting feelings that were valid, of course, but I wish I didn't feel so nasty about the things that made me feel insecure because I wasn't getting the things that I thought that I deserved, not hearing the yes. And just to be transparent, those feelings of envy and jealousy can come about, and it's not spoken about enough, and it's something that floats through this industry a lot. So I wish that I understood that. I mean, now therapy is cool, so yay therapy. If you can get help, definitely do so. There are so many resources nowadays to speak with someone, to sort through and unpack, that's every therapist's favorite phrase, unpack whatever feelings that you have in regards to musical theater. Okay, next up, I wish that I had an understanding of how my blackness would affect my career. I have read so many autobiographies, biographies of people that I admire, and I've had many conversations with people that work beside me of their experiences, but it's another to actually have a really in-depth, real conversation with professionals about how I will be perceived and the expectations of me. I think that is, outside of being rejected, intertwining that with being a black woman has been such a complicated ride. I've questioned my skill set, I've questioned my space in this industry, and all for what, essentially, it's already enough for me as a black woman to feel like, okay, I'm making this huge step to pursue my career, and there's another thing to say, okay, not only are you going to hear a no, but you're probably hearing the no because of your skin color and the fact that you don't align with whatever stereotype that you're being forced to fulfill. That has to be one of the most frustrating components, because a lot of the roles that exist on Broadway or in theater in general are not specific to a certain group of people. It's daunting to feel like, dag, when will there be material that I can pursue without feeling like they're going to stretch me to the umpteenth degree, you know? I don't want to walk into a room and feel as though I'm on pins and needles because I cannot sing runs up and down the staircase. That's not me. You know, the fact that, you know, I want to explore a certain part of my range or showcase this particular skill set over something else. I just want to walk in and be myself. Can you see that? Can you allow me to be that? Wish that there was a way to really dive into that component, because Lord knows it's a lot. Knowing that me being in a specific show as like the token black, or feeling like, am I talented or am I just around a bunch of white people who are saying that what I'm doing is exceptional? But then you go with a group of black people and it's like, oh God, like I don't feel talented at all. At least that's how I honestly felt, and it's just like, how do you decipher between that? You know, because a lot of the time, sometimes even when you're asking for help, there are not that many black people above a certain job description, at least in New York. That's where I prevalently work. But just the idea of like, are they telling me that I'm good because I'm the one black person in the class of 20? Or do they actually see potential in my talent and they see that I have the drive and the determination to work until I achieve my performance goal? I want to feel safe in the sense that I'm going to receive actual feedback about my talent, and not something that's kind of like surfacely given because I'm not a white student, if that makes sense. I hope it does. The next piece of advice that I wish that I had before joining the theater is to actually enjoy what I am doing. COVID has opened up my eyes to a flaw that I have had for a very long time, but it wasn't until recently that I actually had to face it and address it. And that flaw happens to be getting caught up in my goals so much that I don't take the time to enjoy what I have accomplished. I have done tremendous work, and for some reason I do not sit to enjoy the success that I've already had, because I feel like I'm chasing after the next big goal that I can achieve. And there is something to say for that, you know, because I'm someone that doesn't like to be overly content. But the downside to that is, you know, not feeling satisfied enough and always feeling like what you're doing now is okay, but the next thing will be much better. And I think that can be dangerous because it's almost like getting high, you know, you keep searching for the next drug that'll get you to that level, and you will never experience that again. And I think it's important for us as actors to feel satisfied, but also feel a sense of joy when we do achieve something that is great. So for me, I personally am working on making sure that I take time to sit in the things that I have done well, and not taking so much time to feel like, okay, I'm working on myself, or working on this and working on that, which I don't mind. There's always work to be done on me personally, but I have to equate a healthy amount of time saying, damn girl, you did that, or like, you know, celebrating the accomplishments that I have. Because if not, it'll just be this vicious cycle of, you know, you feeling, or, you know, I'll use myself, feeling like I'm not doing all the things that I actually in reality have already done. Those are the tips that I wish that I had before pursuing my career in musical theater. Now I want to flip it and actually add tips that I would like to give you. Number one, always read your contracts meticulously. Get at least 8 eyeballs to read your contract. When it comes down to what you're signing, it is very important for you to realize that whatever you sign today will affect you in the future. If you don't know, I attended Berklee College of Music, and my undergraduate degree was in music business with a concentration in marketing. I studied music business particularly because I wanted to make sure that in the event that I did not have an agent or a manager to advocate for me, that I would have the ability to read my own contracts. I suggest that if you don't have a music business degree or you are not familiar with understanding the terminology of contracts, that you find people who can. Now, it could be an industry veteran, it could be a lawyer, or it can be an agent or manager that you're hiring particularly to do that. My second piece of advice: if you are in high school or you're in college currently, one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of people graduate college and they don't even know their skill set. How are you going to sustain a lifestyle that is, workable for you if you don't know what you're good at and you don't know how you're actually going to make revenue outside of performing on stage? Yes, we are talented beings, but we got to pay bills too, Before you graduate, make sure that you write down a list and figure out, what am I good at? What are the things that people will pay me for? What will I enjoy doing? That is something that I always advise my clients when I talk to them. How else will you survive? Now, unless you have a sponsor or you're coming from a wealthy background and you have people that are, just throwing you money here and there, then good for you. But if you're like me, you're coming from a working class family, then that's not necessarily an option. So make sure that you figure out what skills you can monetize so that you can survive and live a somewhat comfortable life. It's uncomfortable to be rejected in theater, but at least you can say you figured out how to make money outside of acting. Next piece of advice that I have for anyone coming into this musical theater industry is that who you are and what you are is enough. When it comes to shaping success, that definition is personal. You cannot look at person A, B, and C and think that everyone's definition of success is the same. There are some people that just love to sing, but they don't necessarily aspire to perform on Broadway. There are people that are great at engineering sound, or they're great at helping people to choose repertoire, but they don't necessarily want to be on stage, and they probably even work in a hospital. There are people who have different versions of success when it comes to how they're going to incorporate theater into their lives, and I think it's so important that you take a step back and figure out what does success actually look like for you. Once you know what success should look like, feel like, smell like, and all that hoods and foots, then you can figure out, okay, how do I get from point A to point B so that my goals are being met? I think that it's so important for you to outline that, because that way you go in with the idea of saying, I have an understanding of who I am and what I am and the things that I can offer in order for me to map out my success. You also are in charge of creating your success. Your destiny is not in the hands of other people. So those are all my tips for today. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for coming to the cast party, and I will see you at the next one.
Honey, baby, sweet, I've been the reason you keep